this is Lee, and I wanted to talk to you today about waterproofing and connecting wires with your ROV project. In order to do that, you're going to need a few tools. First, you're going to need a wire stripper. Doesn't matter what you've got, this will work just fine. Second, you're going to need a soldering iron to connect the wires and make a good connection. Next, you'll need some solder, and I have some here. I bought a big spool of it on Amazon. You probably don't need that much to begin with, and a hot glue gun, and some glue, and a heat gun, or I think a hairdryer on high will work just fine. Alright, so if you are connecting two wires, the first thing you're going to want to do is use your wire strippers to strip off a little bit of the wire. And I've stripped off, it looks like about a 1/2 inch, and then I twisted it so it looks like that. Alright, so you should have the two ends of your wires prepared. They should be cut about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. Twist it so that all the wires are together, and then since you won't have ends that are like this, they'll be attached to something, you should go ahead and put your heat shrink tube over the wire. Now if you've bought a pack of heat shrink tube, you'll have lots of different ones. I suggest getting one that's a little bit bigger than the wire, something like that. That'll work pretty good. Okay. Then take your wires, and twist them together just to hold them in place for a little while you get the solder ready. So before you go about soldering your wires, I suggest that you go online and watch a few videos about how to solder. I'm not going to cover how to solder in this, just that you're going to solder. So heat up your wire with your soldering iron, and then apply the solder until the two wires are connected. Alright, now that I've got my wires soldered together, and that's a pretty decent little soldering job, I think. I'm going to apply some hot glue. Now the hot glue will give me a little bit more connectivity, and it's going to provide some waterproofing. So go a little past the wire onto the insulation, and I do both sides just because. Then let that harden a little bit, and I'm going to slide the heat shrink tube back up the wire so that it's over top of the joint. Alright, if you got your hot shrink tube up, you've got your glue inside. It's on both sides of the wire. I've got a little bit there. I probably should have waited until it solidified more before I pulled the tube up on there, but I was making a video, so you do better than I did. Now the next step is to shrink the tube. Now I've got a heat gun, and you don't have to have one. They're not super expensive, but a good hair dryer on high will work, or a match, a lighter, those will work. They're a little more dangerous, but as you might catch your wire on fire, this works pretty good. So I'm going to turn this on, and you probably won't hear me anymore. Hot now. Alright, so if you picked one that was too big, a wire that's too big, it won't close up on the ends. And if you pick one that's too small, well, it won't fit. So Ooh. So mine's closed up, and I noticed that a good bit of the glue squirts out the end. That's good, but it didn't come out this end. So I'm going to take my hot glue gun and add a little bit of glue around the end here that the glue didn't come out of. When that's done and solidified, you should have a really good, solid connection that is waterproof.